Now hopping up front at the all-new BMW X3, just locked. But we're gonna go hop up closer. You can see it's unlocking automatically. We have our mirrors fold out for us. Again, same flush door handles. And oh boy, this is the crazy part of the all-new X3. We're gonna talk about a lot of the stuff in here in a second. I just wanna point out to you guys some first things. We don't have a side sill plate on this particular one, though we do have the nice BMW pedals down here, premium carpeting. We also are getting bolster support here, lumbar support, full power adjustment, really nice seats. I have to say, these are some of my favorite newer BMW seats, especially because of the bolstering is very, very strong on the sides over here. We have, of course, our traditional manual thigh extender as well. And these are also getting those same M patterns we saw in the rear seats, which I think is really cool. And this upper micro suede section. These are actually very, very nice, comfortable seats. Let's hop inside and see what else is very interesting about this interior. Getting in is pretty easy. Same nice door clunk as we saw in the rear. Oh, that sounds so great. Even opening it sounds nice. Awesome. And here we are, guys, inside the all-new BMW X3 interior. Let's start it up and talk about what's going on in here. We have our start-stop button right in the center area over here. And it comes to life. What is going on here? Well, let's get into it. Starting from the overall design, this is a very different, I would say, space than what many of you may be used to, or even some other BMW products may be used to. They definitely took a bold, I would say almost concept car-like approach to this interior. And let's just start with this door panel over here, because it's a little bit a big void of nothing. There's no more ambient light strips or kind of wood or any sort of trim piece going on in the store. They've really just gone to a very reductive style interior here. We only have a material choice piece right here, which is the leather with the blue stitching. This is all this kind of injected molded plastic material up here. And we also have this kind of textile material over here. And again, those harder plastics in these areas that used to have these really nice controls and switches. And at least they're not as cheap as the controls out back, but I'm not too sure what, why they're going with this. You do have big cups areas in the door handles area over here. And of course, the most controversial, I think, piece of this interior is this section over here, I like to call it. So I actually quite appreciate this ambient light strip over here. It looks really, really, really cool at night, during the day, and when you switch your drive modes for sport, for example, it does a really cool animation, as you can see right here, which I think is pretty nice. But the interesting piece of this interior has to be this little panel up front over here. This would be your kind of main control panel for your lock, unlock, air vent for this particular air vent controls, and even seat memory, and it's all this one piece. It feels a little bit flimsy in some areas, and this is a haptic touch. So to control your vent open and being closed, which is right here, you kind of swipe it up or down, which is pretty interesting. It always works, which is nice, but it's a little bit confusing. This is also how you lock and unlock your doors. Unlock there, lock right there. As you can see, you gotta really press into it because it's not a touch, because you can see you really do have to press it, which is nice. And all of this illuminates at nice, even the X3 badge. Same thing with your seat memory here. You can press set and 2, for example, and it sets your seat. But very interesting design choice, I would say, right there. Harman Kardon speaker up here, and of course, to control the direction of this vent, you have that interesting little rubberized piece right here which you can move around, which is very interesting. Now, also new, which is a nice feature in this interior, is the newer style BMW M steering wheel. Really chunky steering wheel, as we expect out of BMW M products, but of course this one's getting that nice M stitching on it. Massive paddle shifters. They are plastic, actually. Very similar, though, what we're seeing across the entire BMW lineup, though. So these can be found even on, like, the new M5, for example. Hold this down, you'll get some boost, actually, some overboost on the highway if you want to have a little bit of some fun in the vehicle. But they work nonetheless, no issues there. We have our newer style stalks over here, so we can press this button and it'll expand to more light settings and the iDrive system. So there's some headlight controls there, but a lot of stuff will then project even more so in the infotainment system. Automatic wiper controls as well, which as we expect in a BMW. And all of the buttons are pretty familiar. So we have our adaptive cruise control system stuff on the left-hand side, and our controls over here for our radio, as well as our display. So we have the heads-up display on this one as well, and we have our iDrive 9 system. So this is the largest version of iDrive 9 we've seen. It's taking up both displays, and it's not just pure touch based like in the X1 or X2. We have, of course, the iDrive controller there, which we'll get to in a second. I also want to talk about the dash design, because again, very geometrical shapes over here. And it's interesting what they did here. It's very high up there, and of course, it's really built for this iDrive screen, and it doesn't it's more integrated into the dash, as you can see. It's not necessarily just like stuck on. Of course, it still has that nice curvature to it, so it's really focused on the driver. And this side is really interesting. We have this interesting stitching pattern here. You can actually get this in a textile material on the dash area over here, but there's no trim anywhere in this car. There's always this piece right here, and it's just ambient light, injection molded plastic, and this one piece of trim in the entire interior where you can actually change the configurator. This one has this brushed aluminum finish trim in here, but I wish there was more trim on that vehicle. I'm not sure why they kind of moved away from that. I also have to talk about this wild center console area over here. So as you can see, we have one wireless charge mat over here, which is ventilated, which is nice. Two very quick charging USB-C ports. We have a little spot here for maybe a larger phone or device you can plug into right there. Interesting dividing section over here, I would say. We have this M logo right here, which we've actually seen in some other X3s, but how this is implemented in this new one is very interesting. And what I do not like at all is what they did with these cup holders. They have these non-deformable bumps in them that do not work with a lot of cups. I understand the point of it, to kind of make some cups that have that deformed section in them to kind of sit in, but not a lot of cups actually have that, and it results in the cup just kind of wobbling around even with these holders there. So I'm not the big fan of that design choice there, BMW. And if you haven't noticed already, there's a giant ambient light strip in this entire center console area over here. So again, it looks cool, definitely a little bit futuristic, and of course if you don't like it, you get to turn it off, but this is a very integral part of the interior of this vehicle now. We also have these very slim new air vent controllers over here, so they move very easily, but it may take a little bit of time of getting used to. And built into this ambient light strip right here is more haptic control. So this is how you open and close your vents, for example. And we have some hard buttons for our defrost settings, and of course our hazard lights, which will make the entire interior kind of do this really cool animation thing over there when you press that. Center console over here, again, pretty stiff, but you know, what we've seen in much other BMWs. Opening that up reveals quite a bit of storage actually, so that's quite nice. So nothing too bad there, I would say. We have a 12-volt socket in there if you want to charge some other devices. Solid closing sound. We have our newer style BMW center console control area over here as well. So we have our shifter, which is this little kind of stubby thing. So we have reverse, neutral, drive, sport. Parking brake is now integrated into our button here, as well as our auto hold switch right there, which is nice. Nice volume knob right here, which I thankfully we still have. Forward reverse tracks, and some other hotkey buttons right there, which is really nice. And I love the newer iDrive controller, and I just like that we still have an iDrive controller. Sounds very nice as well. It still has that touch control built into it, and of course quick access buttons for things like our parking assistance system, which is always fantastic on every BMW. It's probably the industry leading system. It remembers all of the courses you just did. I can literally press start back up and it'll follow that entire path. So we have a quick access control here for our drive controls and driver assistance controls, which I like that we can get into this really easily. So you can turn on and off stop start if you want to, turn it on and off the fake engine noise that's pumped into the vehicle, just quickly adjust your heads up displays. And thankfully we also do have a manual glove box control here. It's a little bit on the smaller side, felt line, but it is lockable and manual control. So thank you BMW for continuing to do that. So this is iDrive 9 on this particular BMW. Full touch base. It's a little bit different than iDrive 8.5. Pretty much identical at the end of the day, but there's some little operating things that are mildly different. And of course, on our home screen, we can swipe over here. We can make it either a map, so it can be either Waze, Apple CarPlay, the built-in BMW Maps, Google Maps will all appear right here, which is really cool. Or you can just have it be the My Mode display there. Swipe down, we can have our quick shortcut page as well, or change your drive profiles. And I like how they've really kind of tuned in the climate control systems now, so I can turn on and off my heated, ventilated, we have on this particular one, which is an option, and heated steering wheel from this button here without having to go into the climate menu. This one, though, interestingly, does not have a navigation system built in, because this one, I'm assuming, does not have the upgraded connected package. So it's not really signed into a profile, but that means we actually can't display our maps up here. Even if you are in Waze or Apple CarPlay, if you don't have that connected package, you can't even display your map up there, which is a little bit frustrating. It feels like I'm being forced to get into these packages, actually. That also means you can't unlock some of the fun things you can do with this infotainment system, like playing the air console games and some of the other stuff. So you're a little bit limited when you're not fully connected to all the stuff in this BMW connected system over here. So everything really is kind of cloud-based, internet-based now in these cars, so it's a huge component, I would say. Nonetheless, guys, though, that is really wrapping up most of this stuff in this interior. Seats, like I said, incredibly comfortable. I have to say, the leather feels absolutely very fantastic and premium. Same thing with the steering wheel. Leather feels really nice. It's just I don't know, it's a little bit void of some character or feel in here. They have a lot of cool, futuristic ambient light elements and stuff. Everything works well. The driving position is fantastic, spot on, as you would expect from a BMW. But in terms of material-wise, everything's built together to up the BMW standards. It's just the materials have downgraded themselves just a little bit, and I think that's a little bit unfortunate for this class of vehicle. But again, like I mentioned, we're seeing that in things like the new Q5. Even the GLC has has a lot of ambient lighting, some of the materials in there are a little bit on the chintzier, plasticky side, a lot of gloss black. But BMW, we said no more gloss black everywhere. We didn't mean hard, scratchy plastic. So hopefully they can figure this out going down the road. And this is the all new interior of the BMW X3. And just to show you guys what Apple CarPlay looks like in the all new BMW X3, we have our phone connected over here, and you can just see how massive this screen is with Apple CarPlay. It is colossally huge, which is honestly really great. It has a really great map depiction here, which I think is really nice. And we also have really great views on our this overall system is really, really, really impressive of how big it is. Even if you go into something like Waze, for example, you have a really huge map view as well over here. And when you can go home, you can swipe over here and actually input whatever map you have on this side over here, and still kind of swipe through the BMW built-in system as well. Just for whatever reason, this one doesn't have the connected package, so we can't put the maps up here, cycle through these displays endlessly, and we don't have it. Maybe it's because we're not on a profile other than just the one BMW gave us for this week, but it was a little frustrating. Otherwise, everything else works pretty easily. We have a dedicated kind of CarPlay button on this iDrive 9 system as well over here, and you kind of interact with the system or not. And in your app drawer here, you will also have all of these kind of apps will start to populate. So you have Spotify, your iMessage will come in here. So if you even go in this app drawer here, you can just kind of tap on one of these and it'll take you to that system. And what I also like about BMWs is these iDrive control buttons over here work with your built-in CarPlay system. So now since CarPlay is connected, I can press media here and it's going to take me to my either CarPlay music, radio, or Sirius XM. But now that it's remembered that, I can just press it again and it's going to go straight to my CarPlay music. So that's really cool. Same thing goes with navigation as well. Okay guys, we're going to go take a look at the interior of the all-new BMW X3. We have the latest generation BMW key fob with the M Sport badges on here. Remote start in the US, we can do this 3 times on here, which is quite nice. And unlock pretty easily. Traditional BMW sound, and we have some mild taillight animations. The one thing I will note on this vehicle is we don't have the keyless access controls on the rear doors, only on the front doors. Let's hop inside the all-new X3. Nice door closing sound as well. Have a listen to this. Very solid. Really like that about the new BMWs. Very, very solid German sound. We also have tinted rear privacy glass as well. Opening up the door panel, we can see how wide it opens. Pretty good angle, actually. Not a complete 90-degree angle, which is always optimal, but I think this is pretty good. We still have a pretty nice opening space to get in. Now, what I'm not too big of a fan of is what they've done on this interior. It's not as nice, I would say, as the previous generation's X3. A little bit more of some harder materials up here. It's just soft touch, but it doesn't look super premium for a $72,000 vehicle. Anyways, let's hop inside. We'll talk about this when we get in there. Getting in and out is thankfully a little bit easy. Comfy seats. Let's close the door once again. Nice solid funk there. And here we are in the back of the all-new BMW X3. And I'm sitting behind my driving position. I'm 6 feet tall, if that helps you guys. It's a little bit on the snugger side, I would say. We have a little bit of some accessory holes right here if you want to pop in some stuff there. You can see we have some nice cutouts for my knees and legs back here. It was good foot room, which is pretty nice, and good knee room, actually. I don't feel like I'm too cramped, but it is definitely on the smaller end. We have some nets back here behind the front seats, which is also nice. We also have our own air vent controls with BMW's interesting new air vent control sticks there. But we have a more traditional one down there still. No heated rear seats on this particular one, though we do have a little storage cubby and 2 very quick charging USB-C ports. Big hump in the floor, of course, for that drive line going to the rear wheels over there. A nice premium carpet as well. And then the seats themselves, I would say, are pretty comfortable. I would like a little bit more thigh support, actually, but otherwise, these are the full leather seats here. So we have the M stitching on this one, which is kind of cool. And this kind of blend with this microsuede material back here into the top portions and headrests of the seats. And you can see the sun shining in from this massive glass roof here. But like I mentioned before, it does not open. We do thankfully have a sunshade because it can get a little bit bright back here. We do thankfully have a touch activated interior LED light in here, which is nice. Grab handle hook and a little bit more of a cheaper feeling textile headliner as well in this vehicle. But yeah, this is the rear seats of the all new X3. Almost forgot to point out, we also have 2 cup holders right here in the center console area over here. A little bit moist with some cups in there recently, but otherwise, that is about it.